I've got the answers to your questions that you have submitted here on Genealogy TV. There are several questions that came in regarding, especially the video about the fan club, how to attach your friends, associates, and neighbors to your Ancestry account. There was also some questions about how to keep track of DNA matches and how to add stories on Ancestry.com. And really just some great questions about how to stay organized with research notes, research logs, and such. And so we're going to jump into your questions here in just a moment. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Connie Knox. I am a lifelong genealogist, here to help you go further, faster, and factually with your family research. Now, if you want to learn more about genealogy in general and genealogy tips, I try and cover a variety of things here on Genealogy TV. So make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so that you don't miss anything. Also, don't forget that Genealogy TV has a newsletter and a Facebook page. You can find links for those in the show notes below, as well as everything I always talk about. All the links and all the notes and everything are always at genealogytv.org. I try and do a a blog post for every video that I produce, and a lot of times that will have more information than what you have in the description below. Of course, I will always try and put as much as I can in the description area right below this video. All right, so we're going to jump into it right now. So from the video, Friends, Associates, and Neighbors, how to add the fan club to your Ancestry.com account. June here says, I like to date my notes and comments. That tells me my train of thinking at the time and why. Absolutely, totally agree with that. I will date my comments and notes in Ancestry frequently. Since my regular research notes, I'm constantly updating those all the time. Sometimes I'll date those as well. Not always, because it's a constant working document, but a lot of times I will. Great tip, June. Love it. Thank you for sharing. I use web links to link to my match page for each DNA match I add to my tree. I also just started putting the number of Centimorgans in the suffix box. Then I put a link to the tree profile in the match page notes as well. Great comment. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this one was the fact that she's putting the Centimorgans in the suffix notes, or in the suffix box. If you're not familiar with what that is on Ancestry, where you've got first name, last name, and then there's a suffix box for things like junior or, other suffixes. You can put emojis in there as well. You can put hearts, you can put little thumbs up, you can put whatever you want in there. I like to do that. I use little emojis, little hearts. I color different ones just so that, or sometimes I'll put check marks. It depends on what I'm doing. But I'll use that suffix box as well so that I can see it in the tree. So sometimes I will use that suffix box to outline like maybe a blue check mark or a blue heart or something, so I can see specifically a line in the tree, and then maybe a different line I might color differently. So great tips there. Thank you for sharing. Barbie Beach says, now, what about all those trees on the Ancestry that you look at for possible relatives or trees of DNA matches that you don't see in connections right off, but you would like to view again later on? Is there an efficient way to do that? I'm afraid to just place as a link under one of my relatives in case I lose track of who they are or what they might be attached to. I have way too many trees going on, but to keep tabs open for future viewing. It would be nice to have them all under one file versus just as a bookmark on my browser. Okay, there's a lot going on in this comment and question. Let's kind of break this down into one thing at a time here. So now, what about all those trees that are on Ancestry where you look for possible relatives? I think I understand what you're asking for. I would suggest you use Member Connect. I don't know if you're familiar with Member Connect, and I hope you can see this on the screen, but basically what you do is you get to it from the profile, while you're in an ancestor's profile, and in this case, I'm on Herman Miller Madsen's profile, who is my great grandfather. Now, you go up to the Tools menu, and then you hit the drop down and go to Member Connect. And this is going to help you connect with all the other members that are on Ancestry that are searching the same relatives. Highly recommend you do that. Now, you're going to find a couple areas in there where you're going to have people you've already connected with and people you could connect with. When you connect with them, it doesn't mean that you're actually contacting them. It just kind of means that you're following each other and seeing what changes they're making along the way. So the second part of your question is, or trees of DNA matches that you don't see the connections right off, but would like to view again later on. So what I do here under the DNA matches, and it says that you don't see connections right off, but would you like to view again later on? I make notes. If you see here on this screen, I have made a couple notes. Marcy here has given me permission to use her in some of my videos. Thank you, Marcy. So, you know, I make little notes here that I've emailed this person, and here I actually asked her to if I could use her name in my videos. But so you could add groups, you could add little notes here about different people. And a lot of times in my notes, I will put, I do not see a connection at this time, or, you know, as of this date, and I'll give it a date, and I'll say, you know, I see that, you know, she is connection, in this case, a good connection with Bessie B. Booth, who is my grandfather's sister. So you can, you know, nowadays, Ancestry recently started adding these notes in the visible view of the list, which is nice. It used to be you only could see the notes when you clicked on that ancestor or that cousin match and clicked through, then you could see the notes there. All right, David says, I have a few quick and dirty trees for DNA matches that I don't know yet how to fit, but I have DNA matches relations a few generations back, and they're in my trees. Now I can connect. So what he's talking about with quick and dirty trees, first of all, before we explain exactly what he's talking about, quick and dirty trees is, the first time I saw anybody use the term a quick and dirty tree was Blaine Bettinger when he was explaining his methodology for doing some DNA research. So a quick and dirty tree is an unproven tree. You sometimes will create a separate tree and you're working a hypothesis. So you've got an idea that you want to play with. A lot of times people keep their quick and dirty trees private because they're not proven. And so what you'll do is you pull in data really quick. You won't necessarily look at all of the sources with great detail like you would want to if you were trying to prove something. So a quick and dirty tree would throw that together. So what he's doing is if he's taken a couple different, you know, created a couple different quick and dirty trees, and then you can take that web link, because if you'll remember from this video, if you've seen it, the friends, associates, and neighbors, how to connect those friends, associates, and neighbors. The trick there for that video, if you haven't seen it, is to use the web link at the bottom of the profile. And so if you've created a quick and dirty tree, you grab the web link off of the web browser, you copy it, and then you go over to your main tree and put it in as a web link on a person's profile. You watch the video if you haven't seen it, because it'll totally explain what I'm talking about. But so this is what he's talking about, is that he has created a lot of quick and dirty trees over time, and now he's able to get them all back into, you know, at least how they connect to one tree. So great tip, David. Thank you for sharing that. Lanny says, this is great information. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Also, where and how is a good place or a way to add stories to your ancestors? Love your program. Thank you so much for the comment. So there are multiple ways you can add stories to a family history file. In this case, I am here again on Christopher Madson's profile page, and so depending on how you've written the story or you have collected the story, it could be a PDF document, it could be a newspaper article, it could be something you wrote in Word or a notepad. There's a variety of things you could do, but here's how I do it. So you can, if I've written it in Word, you can actually put it in the gallery as a document. Now, I realize that in this particular file, it's mostly images, but you can upload a document right there in the gallery. There's also, you can view your notes. You could actually cut and paste a story into the notes section. Now keep in mind that notes are private. If you want them to be public, you could put them in the comments section. And this comment would then be public for all to see. So if you want to share that information, also keep in mind if you put it in the gallery, it is also going to be a public view. So you could, just depends on what the story is. It could be something you wrote, it could be an obituary, a newspaper article, or whatever. I also keep, if I'm typing something up like in a Word document, if it's a full story, I will make reference to it in my research notes as well. So there's a couple ideas on how you can attach a story. For those of you who have software that also connects to Ancestry, you could put it in the software, such as Family Tree Maker. You can put it in the software under the person's profile. You can also, I believe, connect the same story to multiple people. So keep that in mind if that is appropriate for you. All right, so here's another question from the same video about how to add friends, associates, and neighbors to your Ancestry.com account. From SBA wrote, "Love this. I have a few folks that have foster parents that I could use this on. I would really be interested in seeing more about how you keep notes that you briefly showed us on the 8 pages of Christopher Madson. Is this the same stuff I would find on Ancestry's timeline? If so, what is the benefit of keeping separate typed up notes with footnoted citations? I'm struggling to keep/start a research log and notes. I've got multiple notebooks with notes, 2 half-hearted attempts at a log, and no way to really go back and find what I've already done. What a mess. What is a simple, easy way to keep track of all this? Maybe you've already done a video related to this. There are many options, as I have seen other videos, but don't seem to work for me. I'd be interested in your approach to this." All right, so the reality is I started to put this question together. I broke it apart into several parts, and I realized this video is getting too long. So I'm going to save this question for next week. And we're going to go through this. We're going to break it down and talk about the research notes. In the meantime, there are some other videos that I will refer you to that I have already talked about this method. I have my own method of keeping research notes and research logs. But I am going to go into it in great detail next week because this is such a great question. And I get asked this question an awful lot about how to keep good research notes and how to keep research logs and how to keep it all together. All those little slips of paper and newspaper articles and all of that. How on earth do you keep track of all that? I have an easy way I do this. And it has worked for me. I have developed this system for the last 40 years and it works great for me. So I'm going to share that with you next week because this video is just getting too long. So I'm going to break this question down into about 4 parts. So next week we'll talk about that. In the meantime, there are some other videos that I'll refer you to right now. All right, I have 4 videos here for you that will help you at least get a start on what it is you are looking to get answers about regarding research questions, research logs, and such. So the first one that I have is staying organized with charts and software. This one is more about software and Ancestry.com and family search and such. This one here is what I call easy breezy source citations. This is my method about how to create, at least get all the information that you need for a source citation. It is not necessarily the professional method as written either in the Chicago style or the Elizabeth Shown Mills Evidence Explained book. But it certainly gets you all the information you need to create those kinds of professional source citations to get started in that realm. Here is how to create great research notes. This is the same method that I'm going to talk about next week, but next week I'll probably go into a little bit more detail. Some of the examples are the same that I'll be showing next week as well. It probably wouldn't hurt for you to see it twice anyway, because once you kind of get it down, you're like, yes, I know this is the way I need to do this. And then going forward, everything is cleaned up. And as you work on each ancestor, you can clean up the notes and all of the progress that you're making on each ancestor as you go. And once you get the hang of it, you'll never turn back. This is about research logs. And this is part of that early series that I created called Learn Genealogy. So there are 4 research organizational videos that I've already created for you. If you want to check those out, I will leave links for those in the show notes below, as well as on the blog post at genealogytv.org. And, well, I'll also leave you some links on the end screens for you as well. Well, that is what I have for you right now. I can't wait to get back together again next week and really talk about research notes. I do get that question a lot, and it is something that clearly is needed. A lot of people need to have a good, clear method for keeping research notes and files. And so this method pretty much teaches you how to do that. So, all right, I hope that helps, and we really appreciate all the questions. Please, feel free to comment. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. Consider becoming a patron of Genealogy TV at patreon.com/Genealogy TV. I really appreciate it. Also, feel free to share it about. I always appreciate it when you guys share. I try and even tell you so in the videos. Don't forget, we have a Facebook page as well. All right, it's time for you to go find your ancestors. So until next time, keep on climbing your family tree.